This is $50, and this is a little bit more than $50. One country keeps printing money to sustain its worldwide wars, the other has to fix its own related war problems, and it is currently using an ancient American strategy. So, in case of inflation, which currency should you keep? Well, in the past I would have said the USD, but nowadays the answer is not that clear. By the way, this video is based on facts and extended research. If I'm gonna share my personal opinion, I'll be very clear about it. There are over 16,000 sanctions against Russia. 11,000 are aimed at people, 5,000 are aimed at companies and banks, and the rest at ships and aircrafts. American and European countries have closed the airspace to Russian planes, and many companies have left Russia. But some have regretted it. Just last week, Coca-Cola and Starbucks have re-registered their trademark in Russia in the hope to come back. Corporations only care about money, and yes, this clearly is my personal opinion. The rest of the video is based on facts. Anyway, these sanctions were meant to hurt Russia's economy, stop its military, and crash its currency. But surprisingly, none of this happened. If you go to a Russian grocery store, like I did in my previous video, you will see that the shelves are full and life goes on as usual. And by the way, many Western brands that have claimed to have left, they are still there.
Then I found some Italian tarlini with Russian packaging.
But how did Russia manage to do so? Despite these sanctions, Russia's economy grew by 3.6% last year, which is better than any G7 country, and it is expected to grow by 2.6% this year. Russia has currently shifted to a wartime economy, planning to spend about 6%, this is 6% of its GDP on military. And I know it will sound crazy, but the war in Ukraine is driving the growth of Russia's economy, and President Putin is confident he can win, while President Biden, I'm not sure what he thinks, to be honest. I just know that a US judge declared him too old to be prosecuted for its own crimes, and the exact sentence was something like, he is an elderly man with a poor memory. US, you are becoming the joke of this planet. Please get someone with some mental capabilities to control your country, and because you guys do influence the world, so please elect someone with just a little bit of brain cells and maybe a younger age. I don't know, I'm just suggesting it. I just see that traveling all over the world, and this is my personal opinion and the opinion of many people I met, the US is becoming weaker and weaker. Anyway, some experts, they do argue that the Western sanctions, they were not strategic enough. For example, these sanctions, they targeted Russia's shipping and trading, but they didn't target the gold market. Russia is the second largest gold producer worldwide, and its gold production is increasing. By using gold, Russia bypassed many sanctions, and let me tell you, Russia has been preparing for sanctions for over a decade, because despite what the media tell you, this war started in 2014 and not in 2022. And for once, just trust Wikipedia. In 2022, Putin pegged the Russian currency, the ruble, to gold, which is a strategy that the US had in the past, but they currently adopted printing forever because they have the total control on the planet. They are the richest and most powerful country on the planet, and therefore they are able to do whatever they want with their currency, because all of us are using USD worldwide, and this thing might change with BRICS, but that's another topic. Let's go back to Russia. By pegging the ruble to gold, they have decided that 5,000 rubles equals 1 ounce of gold. Historically speaking, the value of the gold always went up, so probably the value of the ruble is gonna increase, and history is usually always right. We should stop doing wars worldwide. We're gonna kill each other. That's what history says. But okay. In the meantime, their currency will grow, and maybe Russians, they will be richer than the dollar. But let's go back to this video because there are so many things to add and say. So this move clearly helped stabilize the Russian economy. And after a little dip in the start of 2022, the currency skyrocketed once again. Moreover, Russia has adopted a strategy that only an ex-communist country could have thought of. To bypass the sanctions, they are importing lots of all the consumer products like toasters just to get the computer chip in it. Imagine. But they also have third-party traders for components for tanks and missiles. So yes, you will find American chips like Intel in some of the bombs that landed in Ukraine. As I said before, corporations, they do only care about profit, and I think we can all agree with that. You can disagree with the rest of the video, but you have to agree with that. Please let me know in the comments if you disagree, and I'll shake your hand, give you a hug, I'll tell you I'm so sorry that your brain doesn't work as powerful as the rest of us. I didn't mean to be so mean to you. I'm sorry. Plus, because of these sanctions, Russia has developed a better business relationship with China, India, and Turkey. And I personally believe that this is our Western loss, because it is making the world more divided than ever. So despite the sanctions, Russia's economy has performed better than most Western countries. Russia's industrial output has increased by 60% over the last 2 years, boosting economic growth and making Russia the largest economy in Europe. Because these damn Germans, they cannot get Russia's gas anymore, so they cannot produce car cheaply, and this is influencing Europe so much, and us Europeans are getting so freaking broke. Thank you. And if you don't believe what I just said, go check out the International Monetary Fund based in Washington, which confirmed that Russia also this year could maintain its economic momentum. So yes, the situation is much better than what the media are telling us, and that's why Western goods are still getting into Russia through countries like Kazakhstan, Georgia, and Armenia. These countries, they are acting like a middleman. Therefore, when Apple wants to sell its telephone to Russians, well, they sell it to Kazakhstan first, and the Kazi, I'm not sure if that's the right shortcut for their country names, they ship it to Russia for more or less the same price, because they have a very good economical relationship. But ladies and gentlemen, do you know who is getting affected by the sanctions? My channel. All the Russian views are not monetized. 50,000 views that normally with my audience would have made me $150. If you're an American YouTuber, it would have made you $350. With my current Russian audience, because of all the sanctions, they made me $13.31. I'm definitely not recovering the money I spent to go visit Russia, but if you can support the channel via Patreon, where you can chat with me directly, you can read my secret blog, and even watch some of the videos in advance, or you can make a donation via PayPal or Bitcoin. Everything is linked in the description. Thank you so much for your help. I really need it. It's a joke. I was supposed to make $1,000 this month with these current views, and I'm making like 215? This is crazy. Oh my gosh. That's why YouTubers need a second job nowadays. You cannot trust this platform, you cannot trust the market, you cannot trust anything. That's a complete disaster. Plus, I tried to contact sponsors and even companies that I used to go into Russia, or the eSIM that I used in Russia. I think they are too scared, despite them operating in the Russian market. So please help me out. Anyway, last week one of the biggest economic deals of the century just came to an end. The petrodollar agreement between the Saudi Arabia and the USA expired. For 75 years, that agreement forced Saudi Arabia to sell the oil only in dollars, helping to cement the dollar as the world reserve currency and making the US so powerful and with this ability to print unlimited amount of money. Saudi Arabia decided to not renew this contract, and this decision is part of a larger trend of lots of countries getting away of the dollars. And one of the reasons they're getting away from the dollars is because you guys printed way too much money and destabilizing the rest of the world, which destabilized the rest of the world. And you can understand these decisions. Honestly, you can understand them. Plus, Saudi Arabia is currently seeking to join the BRICS alliance, which includes Brazil, Russia, China, South Africa, Argentina, and many other countries. The end of the petrodollar agreement could benefit many currencies, including the Russian currency. But, my friends, these are scary times. Last time, I recall Libya creating or trying to create its own African currency and getting bombed. The Middle East wanting to be paid in other currencies instead of the dollar, and they got bombed as well. And subscribe for more positive videos, especially check the video about the Russian exclave in Europe. Ciao, thank you.